So the question is full self-driving worth the money? I personally bought it, but I think we should go over what it includes, and in retrospect, is it really worth the money? The extra that you're getting for that money is auto lane change. So currently, if you have standard autopilot and you signal to change lanes, it will shut off autopilot, and now you have to take over and drive. And when you get into your next lane, you can turn autopilot back on. Not a big deal, probably, but it's really nice when you have full self-driving. You can just press on the turn signal, which we'll do after this crazy guy passes us. We're going to switch into the left lane and see if we can go around this van. So I'm going to just press on this once. You'll see the screen lights up, shows it as blue and clear, and the car changes lanes. It's back in the lane, it stays on autopilot. So that's really convenient. It sticks with the relaxing theme. When you're driving, you just push the button, you change lanes, you take a quick look, no problems. I guess it would be somewhat annoying to have to turn autopilot back on every time you change lanes, but is that a $10,000 annoying? I don't know. It also comes with auto park, which I can honestly say I have never used. I just have never had a need for it. I usually just park the car on my own. It also comes with summon. Now, summon is a pretty great feature. Right now, we're renting a house while we figure out what we're doing with our lives and where we're gonna live. But it comes with a single car garage, and it's pretty tight. So the summon feature has come in pretty handy because the garage isn't big enough to put the kids in the car while we're in the garage. You can't open the doors big enough. It is actually very handy. You simply open the app, press the summon button, you hit reverse, and you hold down the button and the car backs out of the garage on its own. There it is in the driveway, and myself and the kids can get in. So that we really use a lot. Navigate on autopilot is probably the main feature that you're paying for with full self-driving, and I can honestly say I don't use it very often. In order to use Navigate on autopilot, you have to put in an address that is in the GPS, that you search and you put in the GPS, and then you have the option to navigate on autopilot. Okay, so once you pick an address, it shows up and you have this option here to navigate on autopilot. So if you select that button, which I'll do now, there we go, hit it a couple times. The two blue lines on the lanes turn into one signal line, and as you can see, immediately when I turned it on, navigate on autopilot, it wants to get out of the passing lane. It's a feature that you can turn on or off, and I don't like to sit in the passing lane, so I turned it on. So I turn on navigate on autopilot, the car now wants to navigate on its own. It will make lane changes on its own. It will take highway exchanges, so if you had to switch highways, it will get in the appropriate lane, slow down, take the off ramp, and merge onto the new highway, and it'll go around slower cars and pass them if it needs to. Now you can see it's suggesting I want to go to the left because this car ahead is moving much slower, so it does that, and it does that on its own. You'll notice I'm not pushing the turn signal stalk. It's doing this completely autonomously. Now, there is a setting for Navigate on Autopilot where I could say that I need to confirm it. So it would come up on the screen and say I want to change lanes, and then I would hit the indicator in the direction left or right to give it permission to change lanes. I did that for the first month or two until I got a little more comfortable with the car. Now we're gonna get out of the passing lane here. And once I got more comfortable with it and I started to trust it a lot more because it frankly proved itself to me, then I said, okay, you can do what you want. The reason I don't use Navigate on Autopilot a lot, you're going to see right now, is that we've come up now on a transport truck. It's going significantly slower, and now the car is going to say, let's get in the left lane and let's pass. And nice blue Model 3 coming up here, beautiful. It's going to want to get over and pass, so I find it changes lanes a lot. It's passing its back, or if the exit that I need to take is a kilometer away, it gets in the left lane to pass someone. It doesn't have the foresight to go, I'm going to get off soon, so I'm not going to pass. It's just not, the AI just isn't there yet, in my opinion. So I actually have it programmed to get off here soon, so it's getting into this lane to exit the highway. It is very good at braking and safely getting into the lane. If there's someone coming on the highway, on the on-ramp, and you're in the slow lane, it's actually pretty aggressive at slowing down to let that person on. I've noticed that. But overall, you just don't have that degree of control. And I guess maybe it's me, maybe I'm just not ready for that level of you know, letting go, letting the car drive on its own. So for me, it's a little bit too much. I usually know the lane I want to go in and the route, the path I want to take, and if I want to pass someone, maybe on a long drive, like a long road trip, it would become more valuable. But right now, I just drive and I use the autopilot. But like I said, the auto lane change is definitely worth it, because then you're not going on and off autopilot. And of course, as I mentioned, the summon feature for getting the car in and out is really great to have. Now, with full self-driving, it does say that navigate on autopilot or auto steer on city streets will be coming later this year. I know the beta has been released in the United States, but it's kind of not true, because I'll go on autopilot right now. I am on Ontario Street in St. Catharines, and autopilot is engaged. So this is clearly not a highway. It's a main road, but not a highway. And the car, interesting to see how it reacts to that. Yeah, see, it's always an adventure, honestly, and I'm glad that was on video. You need to have that attitude or the mentality of, this is a very new technology, new car, and it's not always going to know what to do. So it's not fully autonomous, that's very clear. But as I was saying, on autopilot, I'll go back on autopilot right now, and there we're on it, and we are on city streets, so it does work. I will say it does not work that well. There's not always good lane markings, which the car is dependent on to know what lane it's in and what lane to stay in. The traffic control, this green light you can see on the screen, it definitely sees that's a green light, and it notifies you with a green line there on the road. If that light were red, that'd be a red line, and that's telling you that's where the car will stop. Now we come to a red light, and you can tell it stops, and now it's turned green. If you're behind another car, the car will automatically follow that car once the light turns green. If you're the first car or the only car at the light, once it turns green, the car will chime, and it will have you push down on the stalk to tell it that it's safe to go through the light. So basically, if that guy's willing to kill himself, then the car's willing to kill me too. But if there's no one around, then it needs my help. So the final thing to consider is the future updates. There has to be a part of that $10,000 where you're paying for the future. You're paying for what might be. Elon has said that he thinks that Teslas could become appreciating assets due to full self-driving, because if full self-driving is realized and the car is level 5 autonomous, meaning I can tell it where I want it to go, and it will go from my driveway to the next driveway without any intervention or me really paying any attention at all. If that were to happen, that would be worth a lot more money than $10,000. So Elon seems to think that might make the car an appreciating asset. Whether or not that will happen or becomes true is kind of what you're betting on. Are you a dreamer? Or are you not a dreamer? If you think that this is reasonably something that can happen in the future, then $10,000 is a steal, and you should probably buy it and hold on to the car until that happens. And you could, in theory, potentially sell your car for more than you paid for it. Maybe. I find that a little bit hard to believe. And what are you going to do then? Sell it and then go buy a new one for the same exact high price? That doesn't make any sense. So I don't know if that's really worth it or really going to happen. Would I do it again? It's a tough call. If enhanced autopilot, which was only available for a brief time in September at the end of the quarter, where you got all the features of full self-driving except for auto steer on city streets. So you got navigate on autopilot, auto park, summon, auto lane change, and it was half the price, $5,300. That, if I could do it all again and that was an option, that's 100% what I would do. I have no interest in auto steer on city streets. I think that you'd be getting a steal of a deal at around $5,000 for all those features. So I would probably not get full self-driving, and I would wait around a little while to see if the enhanced autopilot option came back, and if I did, I would jump on that, and I would be very happy with that feature set. That's my thoughts on full self-driving, and if it's worth it, it's really a individual choice, but those are the experiences I've had with it and what I would do if I could do it all over again. So thanks for watching.